You're watching Democratically Speaking. My name is Mark Linde, and I'm the host of the show and the current chairman of the Brockton Democratic City Committee. Today I'm with a familiar face to all viewers that tune in on Monday night at City Council meetings. I have Councillor-At-Large Robert Sullivan.
Hey Mark,
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming in. We got the Bob Sullivan signs, Robert Sullivan signs are back all over the place.
They are. I'm proud to be a candidate for re-election to the City Council as a Councillor-At-Large, serving the whole city. As you know, I was first elected in '05, sworn in '06, so it's gone by like that. I've been on the council 10 years now. 2 of the years out of the 10, I served as a council president, elected by my peers. You know, I was contemplating doing something else, Mark, but at the end of the day, I have a young family. You know, I have 3 young kids under the age of 8. And I feel that we need proven experience, proven leadership. There's going to be massive changes on the council, and that's a fact. People have decided not to seek re-election. So I'm respectfully asking all voters, it doesn't matter what party you are, you can be unenrolled, you can be an independent, you can be a Republican or a Democrat. Please go to the polls September 22nd, and again November 3rd is the general election. And I'm asking respectfully for their vote of confidence in re-electing me as one of their 4 councillors-at-large.
Well, you've been very successful on the City Council, getting elected. How many times is it at this point? 5 times, okay, yeah. So this would be number 6.
It would be.
Okay. Top the ticket, I think every time.
Well, Linda Belzotti was the first couple elections, but definitely the last 3 city elections, absolutely.
Yeah, which is outstanding, especially with high turnout or low turnout or whatever. What makes you want to continue and do this job? What's the number 1 reason for you to want to stay? That's longevity, that's dedicated public service. I know councilors get paid, but it's certainly not the pay that for the hours that you put in. Why do you want to stay?
Simple. Brockton's home. My home, your home, our home. And I love the city. My wife and I could have left. Many of our friends left, you know, Bridgewater's, Easton's. We stayed here, bought a house here, raising our kids here. So I want to make a difference. I believe I have made a difference in the last 10 years. But there gets to be a point where you have to decide, is it worth it? You know, I'm sacrificing a lot of time away from my young family. You know, missing ballet recitals, missing baseball games. It is worth it. I believe it's worth it because this can be a great city once again. But you need to have the right people in place to make sure that it's headed in the right direction. I believe that I've done that, you know, be it passing ordinances, laws in the City of Brockton, thinking of some fiscal measures like the streetlight acquisition, Mark, you know, it saves $650,000 per year. I brought that to the forefront. You know, champion our retirees and our veterans and our seniors. I think that I have a skill set that if I decided not to seek re-election would come around again. Definitely someone could fill those shoes, but it may take some time. And again, we know that Councillor-At-Large Stewart is not seeking re-election. We know that Councillor Dubois is not seeking re-election. There's going to be a massive change, and I want to continue to do some benefit to the City of Brockton, all 7 wards, all 28 precincts. But I was torn on seeking maybe a different office, a different position, and at this time, it's just not the right thing for my young family.
Well, it's all about timing, if you really think about it. You know, people have kids, they have parents, they have job responsibilities, they might be getting married or remarried or whatever, and at the end of the day, it's how many hours in a day can you juggle different things? Right. It's crazy. That's okay, right. I do 2 jobs. I'm on the school committee. Luckily, the school committee for Southeastern is not as intense as the Brockton School Committee. We have plenty of meetings, but not nearly as many subcommittee meetings as the Brockton School Committee does. Right. They meet quite a bit. What are the issues in this campaign? I was talking to another candidate, and I'll leave him nameless at the moment, who said, same issues that I dealt with 20 years ago. If you look at some of the issues, they're reoccurring themes. We're still talking about some of the same things. We're always talking about taxes. We're always talking about you know, things like people getting city jobs. You know, all these issues come up. The power plant is an issue ongoing still. What are the most important issues for you as a city councilor and a citywide city council?
Yeah, you know, I would concur with that person that you spoke to, because at the end of the day, people want to live in a safe community, right? Public safety. They want to live in a clean quality of life community, right? Where there's not trash and the roads are in decent shape. Economy is always key, right? Maintaining services, not increasing taxes. I mean, those are at the forefront, you know? You want to live in a thriving community. Now, we're in a city. You know, we're a city. we're going to have issues. Towns have issues. Cities have issues. You have to do with what you have. There's an old saying, Benjamin Franklin said it, do what you can with what you have where you are, Mark. You know, we have a budget of over $370 million. You have to spend wisely. You can't overspend. It's like you and I doing our own personal finances. You have a budget, you work with that budget. You know, I do think that different areas of the city and different constituencies call me for different issues. Because I do serve the whole city. You know, the seniors and the retirees, a lot of them are working on, living on fixed incomes. You know, they have some health issues. So at the end of the day, crime is at the forefront in making sure we have a thriving community. Maintaining businesses, attracting businesses. I mean, that's the fiscal cost containment measures we need to do, like the streetlight acquisition, thinking outside the box, making sure that you have enough money in the pot. You know, this winter that we just had, I mean, that was historic. You know, we can deficit spend under the state, and we have, but you have to pay it back the next year. So, you know, the issues, unfortunately, are pretty much the same. You know, every 2 years when we run, I mean, the power plant's still out there. There's still a federal lawsuit. I'm one of the defendants in the lawsuit as a city councilor. But I think we have some really good opportunities here in the city of Brockton. You know, we do use the TIF, tax incremental financing, to attract businesses. WB Mason used it to stay here. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, if you have the right people in place that are your elected voices, the city will be moving in the right direction, and I hope to continue in that way.
Talking about change and massive change on the City Council. I'm on the library board, as you know. We're undergoing massive change. I think Larry Siskind is going to be before you guys shortly as one of my new members, and then a couple of others resigned as well. I always look at it from, like, we're a 9-member board. If you have 3 people on it that have a little bit of experience, if you have 3 people that are a little mid-level experience, and then if you have 3 people on it that are newer, new voices bringing to the table, stuff like that, all those appointments and all those confirmations go through the City Council. They get vetted through the City Council. To use your term that I use all the time too, you got to do your due diligence and check it out. There's been a lot of change on city boards and commissions, especially since Mayor Carpenter has taken office. He vowed when he ran that he was going to put new faces and new voices on the City Council. How important is there to be a balance on the City Council with 11 members of the City Council where you do have veterans going off like Michelle Dubois and Jay Stewart is even a veteran at this point. How important to you is getting a really well-rounded council coming out of this election?
Well, you know, I think the most important thing is, if you're a veteran or a rookie, you know, a newbie, that the person elected is doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it for the right cause, to better the community. You know, when I came on back 10 years ago, Peter Aziaf, 32-year public servant, great person, great for the city of Brockton. You know, he moved on. During my tenure, 2 colleagues, Councillor-At-Large Tom Brophy and Todd Petty, left. The replacements, meaning the people that come on, all have different skills, all different backgrounds, all different pursuits and family relations and, you know, jobs. But ultimately, Mark, there's 11 of us, right? There's 7 ward councilors and 4 of us at large. We have to work together, right? So the catalyst is you're doing it for the right reasons. And if you have someone that's a veteran, Dennis Ianieri is a good example. He's the current council president. He's been a public servant for years and years and years. You know, you can blend off of a Dennis Ianieri or a Shayna Barnes and a Shirley Azak, some of the newer ones. And I do see some people, because it is campaign season right now, that are new, maybe not new to Brockton, but you're also seeing some people that are potentially coming back into public service. So I think it's exciting times right now, not just for the City Council, the school committee as well. You know, you and Wayne McAllister do yeoman's work, great public servants representing Brockton at Southeastern Regional. You know, one of the things, Mark, and I want to thank you, is last year when I was the council president, I made a pledge at the inaugural to do the quarterly meetings where all local elected officials come together. And that way the residents, the constituencies that we serve can come before us in one venue, one forum, and ask us questions. It was successful. We did it. I think we had to iron out some wrinkles. This year it's not being done. I think that that's not a good thing. I think it should have continued, my humble opinion. Last year when I was president, again, thanks to you, I had a cable show called Before the Council. Hadn't been done in over 30 years. A benefit, again, there's a lot of people that watch community access, that learn from community access, be it watching it live in the council chambers or taped in the shows. So, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, we're all Brocktonians. We all love this city. Either you work here and live here or you have family here. This is home. So when anybody puts their name out there to run for office, I applaud that. You and I have run many races. It's a daunting task. It's a long summer, knocking on doors, walking the city, asking people for donations. But again, you need to have the right people in place that are going to be your daily voices, making sure that Brockton is running properly. We're the strong council. Our form of government is we're a strong council, weak mayor. Now, I do disagree with a lot of the things that the current mayor is doing or has done, but at the end of the day, people elect who they want to serve. That's why we have two-year terms. Some people say, well, I don't like two-year terms. You know, when the former mayor, Mayor Falwell, was mayor, it was a 4-year term, and then it changed. You know, it is difficult to campaign every 2 years, but it also brings a nice new perspective and really some refreshing ideas, Mark. So I'm excited. I really am.
Well, I'm glad we did all of that, and I agree with you. I wish it continued. Maybe we'll find a way to do it in another way or another venue. In the meantime, let's talk about the whole mayor-council form of government. We have a Plan B.
Yes.
Okay. There's
Yes.
different plans.
Yes, there
We've
is.
had a plan way back in the past where we had a city manager.
That's right, Mr. Gilday.
Plan,
That's right.
Which, you know, I know Councilor Stewart had put forward an initiative to study the city government. I still think that's a good idea, maybe not quite in the way that he wanted to do it, but maybe that'll come up again. We haven't looked at the city government in years. There's other forms of government, but how important is it to have a good relationship between the mayor and the city council? We've had councilors like, mayors like Councillor Harrington, who became Mayor Harrington. We've had school committee people like Win Farwell, who's now running for council, who became mayor. So you get a very different perspective coming from both bodies. How important needs to be a working relationship between the two branches of government?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's vital, Mark. Now, the current mayor, Mayor Carpenter, also was 4 years on the school committee.
Correct.
And the previous mayor before him, Linda Balzotti, served as a ward councilor and a councillor-at-large. I think it's extremely important. Again, the mayor is the CEO, the administrator of the City of Brockton. We, being the city council, we're the legislative branch, right? However, under our form of government, it's a strong council. So it's the mayor's budget. City council ratifies it. We can cut from it. We can't add to it. We can't, when we cut money, we can't earmark, you know, we want to cut from this department to give to this department. We can't do it. It's the mayor's budget. You know, I was very dismayed, I'll be quite frank, that the first official act of the mayor was to sue the council, sue myself as the council president, and sue the city council. I thought it was a waste of time, waste of money. It was a moot point. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to work with whoever's in place, right? So the people elected Mayor Carpenter. He's the current mayor. He's up for re-election. It's a 2-year term as well. But I have always been of the opinion that, listen, we all ask voters for their vote. We all ask to be their representation. It doesn't matter if it's the local level or the state level, state rep, state senator. It doesn't matter, Mark. When I knock on your door and I introduce myself and I say, can I serve you? That's really a huge request. And it's a huge duty and obligation. So to say, does the mayor and city council get along? Not at times, absolutely not. I would think in my 10 years this has probably been the worst interaction with a lot of us, with the administrator. However, we're all big grown-ups, right? You turn the page, you move on, and again, you do it for the right reasons, which is to benefit everybody, all residents in the city of Brockton. So I'm hopeful that, you know, whatever happens in the mayoral election, whatever happens in the city council election, you know, everybody's going to blend together and work. And again, I'm asking respectfully to be reelected, so I'll have another 2 years to be able to do some things. Again, I think we need to carry on in the right direction, Mark, because if not, we're going to take 2 steps back.
Now, I know you probably can't talk too much about it. You said you're a defendant in the lawsuit dealing with the power plant. So far, last couple of councils, pretty adamant the council is against the plant. Previous council had Todd Petty, who was for it.
Yes.
Okay, this council right now, as it stands, all 11 members of the council do not want this to come to Brockton.
That's right.
Okay? I don't know what you can say, if you can even say anything, because there is a third branch of government, the judicial branch of government,
That's right.
where this is all sitting.
That's
there
right.
was a settlement reached. I know that the council, and from what I can see as a lay person and as a citizen, was not too happy that there was a settlement reached and wanted to come to a different conclusion. Where is it right now? We're sitting at the end of August. We'll probably play the show a couple of weeks and put them in the rotation.
Yeah.
Where is it right now, and what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, what I can say, again, I'm a lawyer, right? I'm bar certified in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I have been since '97. So that means I'm an officer of the court. So I would never speak out of line. I never want to jeopardize any type of pending matter. And it is a pending matter, and it's in the federal courts. It's at the Moakley building in Boston. It's a federal lawsuit. You know, the administrator, the mayor, he even campaigned on the pledge that he liked the idea. You're correct. All 11 current councilors are against it. It's still a pending matter. I mean, all I can say is there's been no change on the city council. I mean, I could speak for myself.
Right.
In my own opinion, there's been no change. Again, I've always, and I can say it here today, I've always said I don't believe it's the right thing for Brockton. I don't think it's the right technology, the right location. You don't put a price tag on health and safety. It's too close to the senior high rise, too close to the schools. You know, I've said that, and I'll say it again. However, we have legal representation, okay? The mayor does, the City of Brockton does, some other members were sued personally, they do, and of course the plaintiff does. So it's working its way through the federal process. There's a judge up there that's a good judge, has been a good judge for many years, but I think the fight continues, and I hope it does.
Well, I'm asking questions as a voter. I have to decide who I'm going to vote for,
That's
too.
right. That's right.
Okay? And I'm asking some of the newer candidates, well, what's your position on it? What I'm getting from people is, I need to be educated, I need to study it. Okay, well, study it pretty quickly because you're a candidate and you need to tell me where you are. Or, let the voters decide. Let's put it on the ballot and let the voter decide. Time for doing that is past.
Right.
I think in the past, we probably could have put a non-binding referendum on the ballot. But to me, that's a cop-out. I had to take a position on it when I ran for state rep. I had not taken a position prior to that because I was running the station.
That's right.
And I didn't want anyone to, because I've done forums and debates and stuff, both sides of the, and I want people to think I'm fair, which I always try to be. But I had to put a position on it, and I'm against it, and I've been against it from day one. Okay, I see great economic benefits to getting that money, but I kind of agree with you on the price on public safety, which is, but you've been solidly consistent with that line. Do you think that the new folks actually can be educated in time enough to, you know, be, I mean, this is right now, it's now. I still think it's one of the most important issues for Brockton no matter what.
Yeah, well, I think, again, in my humble opinion, I think if you're a candidate for elective office, City of Brockton, this has been an issue that's been going on for as long as I've been on the council, in some fashion or the other. I think you need to educate yourself. I think it's an important pending matter. We're talking about a lawsuit of millions and millions of dollars, so that in itself is important. But you also have to be able to figure out, what is the technology. The new technology in the Commonwealth, the former governor, Governor Patrick, stressed green technology. Harness the sun, harness the wind, solar technology. We have a bright field here in the City of Brockton. We just approved another bright field at the former Thatcher Street landfill. I think Thomas Edison, he was here. I mean, we're at the forefront of technology. Brockton always has been. I think that, again, in my opinion, that if you're seeking office, you should be fully educated on all issues. Now, of course, issues are going to come up, right?
Sure.
But on something like that that's been laying out there for so long, I think it's vital. Now, do I think that someone that is elected to the City Council should have an opinion on it? Yes, in my opinion, they should. You know why, Mark? Because the people that don't get reelected, or the people that are on the City Council now that don't seek reelection, that federal lawsuit is against the City Council. So new people that get elected are going to be defendants in that lawsuit. It's not individual people.
Right.
So again, I mean, it's an issue that's out there. I can't really talk much about anything from a legal strategy standpoint. I would never do that. Again, we have great, able lawyers that are working for us, and we'll see how that works itself through the federal judicial system.
Last question
Sure,
about that, and I know
absolutely.
you can't divulge things that are discussed in executive session, but there's been a number of executive sessions because the thing you are allowed to do in executive session that I'm aware of in our school committee is pending litigation, and obviously it's pending litigation. So there's been a lot of meetings that have gone on like that. How do those people hit the ground running come January when they're sworn in on the first Monday in January and be part of the mix? I'm looking at the races, and potentially there could be change in the council with people that I know are in favor of the power plant, and where there are people that are leaving the council that are adamantly opposed to it. You could see a shift in an 11-member council depending on who's going to get elected. There's a candidate running right now for Councillor-At-Large who's one of the individual defendants. Okay, I'm not going to get into names.
Right.
I'm going to talk to each person as I bring them on as their candidates. But how do you see that affecting the whole mix?
Well, you know, I think again, if I'm fortunate enough to get reelected, and I'm really hoping that my track record speaks for itself, and I'm doing it again for the right reasons. And it's not you and I; it's the next generation, Mark, that we really have to set up. You know, anybody that's elected to the council, I can only speak to the council, not school committee. You know, I would, if I am reelected as a veteran on the council and as currently the only lawyer on the council, I would request whoever the new president is that we have a meeting, an initial meeting, you know, right after the swearing in early January. We have an able legislative attorney that serves us, Attorney Mark Linde. He's a good lawyer, he's a good person, he's served us for many, many years. So I think we would have almost like a training session to catch people up. This is just me speaking off the cuff. But I you know, yeah, there's always a risk on, you know, people stances and changing stances and new people coming in with different stances. You know, that's fine. I know what my stance is. The voters know what my stance is. My constituent knows what my stance is. But again, we have to figure out, you know, come November 3rd, that general election, who is elected, and then come early January on the inaugural and the swearing in, you know, how it's going to change. You know, there could be a change in the mayor's race up there. We don't know how that turns out either, Mark. So, you know, I think in due time everything will sort itself out. But again, I'm just looking to get reelected to continue to better Brockton.
Now, other issues, and I'm not going to call them lesser issues, okay? Schools, even though the council is in charge of the city side, quote unquote, and the schools are the school side, it's all one side, we're all on the same side. You got things like libraries, things like Council on Aging. When you guys are sitting down talking about budget priorities, how important is it to be well-rounded? You talked about quality of life before, and when you come to Brockton, at least with me, and speaking myself, I had a great education at Brockton High School. I would have never done TV had there not been a TV studio.
That's right.
Okay, I probably would have spoke Spanish a little better because I used to kind of disappear out of Spanish class, go hang out in a TV studio. But everything's in Brockton. I mean, we're a city. We have our problems and our pluses. Okay, obviously, I'll ask you the question specifically. The library. We have 2 branch libraries that we don't have the budget money to really open fully over there. We're working, the Library Foundation may be coming before you, and we may have a proposal to open more hours, but that's temporary because that money is from a private group and it's for 1 year, and you know, I'd love those branches to be open 5 days a week. I've had different councilors that I've talked to over the time. Okay, public safety is number 1, libraries like someplace down in the mix. Well, how do you prioritize it? How would when you're sitting there looking at that massive budget that you get submitted to you, like you said, the mayor's the CEO, he submits the budget, you can only cut it, you can't add to it or move things around. How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, well, first of all, the most recent budget I voted against because I thought that the way that it had been given to the council decimates the school. It really has a dramatic, long-term negative impact on the Brockton Public Schools. I'm a proud graduate. You're a proud graduate. My father was a teacher. Actually, you were one of his students.
Absolutely.
You know, so I love the Brockton Public Schools. It's not just recognized in the Commonwealth. It's nationwide. I didn't like that the way that the budget last year, never mind this current budget, impacted the schools. When you're talking about getting rid of extracurricular activities in the middle schools, what we used to call junior highs, I mean, that's just, that's catastrophic. So I did vote against the current budget. But what I do is when we get the budget, and it gets the mayor's budget, we get it from Mr. Conan, who's the chief financial officer, I go line item by line item. Now, I don't do that just because I have an MBA and I like business and numbers. I do it because I think you need to do it. You need to look at every single thing, analyzing, comparing previous years to the current proposed budget. At the end of the day, Mark, I have a card. I'm a member of the Library Foundation. I spent many, many hours at the West Branch, in law school, in college, and I think that, of course, you know, deterring crime and public safety and safe streets is paramount. Public schools is paramount. But then you're talking about other enrichments in people's lives, such as the library, and that's just equally as important. So, you know, when you have a budget, you kind of have to figure out, okay, this is X amount that we can attribute to this, and this amount, and this amount, and this amount. And as an elected official in the city council, you know, we have to go with what's proposed. There's a department request, and then the mayor's proposed budget request, and that's what you itemize. And I've done 10 of them. You know, they've gone up, you know, millions of dollars every year. But I think, again, you have to do really the right thing with what you have. You can't overspend, you know. The mayor had requested, 3 months into the budget last year, he had requested additional overtime monies for the Brockton police. In 3 months, what was budgeted and projected for 12 months had already been spent. I question that. I don't think that that's right. Nothing against Brockton PD. They put their lives on the line. But I think you have to figure out from a financial standpoint, what are you doing? How's it being spent? The libraries is paramount. We need to get it going. We need to make sure that everyone's on the same page for that endeavor. But there's a lot of other things. I mean, we have to make sure that our seniors and retirees are doing well. We need to make sure that the Council on Aging, the Mary Cruz Kennedy building is going to be expanded. There's a proposal. It's vital. It's vital. So there's a lot to do, Mark. And again, if the voters go out there on September 22nd, November 3, and cast a vote, 1 of 4 for me, and I am fortunate enough to be re-elected, I'm just going to keep banging the drum. One thing about me, Mark, you know, and we've run for state rep together, I'm a very vocal person. I have a moral compass. Everything's above board and transparent, and it's family first. And I love this city, and we're living here, and I'm going to continue to just do the right thing for the city of Brockton.
Okay, I'm going to give me the 3-minute cue.
Okay.
I'm giving you 2 minutes.
All right.
That. You can tell the voters, just look in the camera, we're having a nice conversation, but talk to them specifically. Why Bob Sullivan should stay where he is.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Again, my name is Robert Sullivan, and I'm 45 years old, proud father of 4 beautiful kids, ages 8, 5, and 3. My wife, Maria Louise Sullivan, lifelong Brocktonian as well. And, you know, I have come to you 5 times in the past and respectfully asked for your vote to serve as your Councillor-At-Large. I'm coming for a 6th time because I think now is the time to have experienced, proven leadership. Someone that just doesn't sit there because they want to have a title. Someone that's actually done the work, done the job, made Brockton better, made it better for you, from your family, for my family, for our families. We need to make sure that the people that are asking for your vote are the right people, so that the city is going in the right direction. I'm respectfully asking on September 22nd, in the preliminary election, any registered Democrat, Republican, unenrolled independent, to please consider voting for me on September 22nd. And then on November 3rd, if I'm fortunate enough, I'm going to ask you again, the general election November 3. I'm asking you for this specific reason. There'll be 2 ballots that day. Please ask for the city ballot. My name is Robert Francis Sullivan, and I love the city of Brockton, and I love being your Councillor-At-Large, serving all 7 wards, all 28 precincts. And I'm asking you today, please consider voting to re-elect Robert Sullivan. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, Robert, I think I'm going to give you a handshake. I still got about a minute left.
Sure.
But what I'm going to tell you is all your legal training and all your business training and all now your TV training, that was a good close.
Oh,
okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
You know how to communicate. You've been able to talk to people. You've been able to listen to people. Okay? This is not the endorsement speech, but, you know, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Mark.
Even if, you know, even if you're, I always say stand up for what's right even if you stand alone. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes you just have to do that.
It's all principles.
Okay? So we'll be catching up with you on the campaign trail. There'll be other opportunities to be on TV. We'll go from, and we're hoping to do a Councillor-At-Large debate.
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
so we'll talk more
I
about
appreciate that.
I got the wrap-up.
All right,
so
thanks again.
You're watching Democratically Speaking. Mark Linde, your host. Stay tuned for more episodes with more candidates in the upcoming city preliminary election. Thank you.